When I first saw the Prusa Core One at Formnext 2024, I immediately knew I need to build that thing. A reasonably priced CoreXY machine from Prusa, looking sleek, made from sheet metal and sharing lots of DNA with the Mark IV? This had to be fun, and I wanted to do it with my own hands. I've already built a Prusa Mark III S Plus before and I really enjoyed it. But let's be real, building can be anything. It can be relaxing, it can be stressful, it can be pure pain or just pure fun. And most importantly, it's always a chance to learn. When you build a Prusa printer, your expectations go up. You expect excellent instructions, smart design choices, and maybe a bit of that classic charm from the Czech Republic. And yes, besides the experience, you also save some cash, around 250 to 300 bucks, depending on where you live. But the real question is, are you really saving money? Or are you buying yourself a build adventure? Huge thanks to Prusa and Marcel for sending me this kit free of charge to check it out. As always, my opinions are entirely my own. I don't get paid for this. So let's find out. Can this kit deliver real fun or become a painful Czech puzzle? And hey, could it even be better than a Voron? Let's check it out. Today at 24/7 Printing. Before that, a quick 30-second message from today's sponsor, PCBWay. Besides making PCBs, PCBWay also has a massive community and even a dedicated store. You can find open source projects, share your own designs, or buy ready-made boards and modules directly from other makers. It's like a global marketplace for hardware tinkerers and engineers, and a great place to discover inspiration or support other creators. Check out the PCBWay store and community and maybe even list your own design. More info and the link for instant access down in the description. What you get is a surprisingly small box. Not huge, but quite heavy. Once opened, you realize it's packed to the max. Clearly optimized for packaging size. This might lead to some annoyances and time waste, more on that later. And trust me, you can do it better than I did. I'll tell you how. My parts passed all tests. Good start. And yes, there are gummy bears. Sugar always works, at least for me. Then there's number 11, the Plexi set, the 3D printed handbook and the happy printing letter. The typical "I'm gonna build a Prusa today" feeling arises and excitement increases. You get a USB stick, a PEI print surface, an electronic box, the motor kit for Mark IV, which is the same for Core One, metal parts, the rods, electronics and chamber parts, metal parts box 3, the CoreXY parts, the printed parts, electronics and fasteners, and the big metal parts box. A quick look inside, everything feels high quality. The PCCF parts look great. The PTG parts, judge for yourself, they're okay. Electronics and fasteners contain filament samples, no full spool. That's a pity. Is it because of profit margin or packaging size? Probably a bit of both, only Prusa knows. We also find tools which are sufficient to finish the build, but it's recommended to have some additional stuff around. Recommendations follow. And yeah, you'll realize the smooth PI build plate is nice and heavy, but build space in X and Y of this machine won't be voluptuous. The electronics box? A wild mix of electronics and hardware. The smooth rods? Nicely machined? As expected. In the electronics and chamber parts box, you'll even find the linear rail for the X-axis. Because, why not? Box 3 immediately ejects the heated bed. You can't miss it. I was surprised to see the thermistor not integrated on the PCB. Interesting. Though that's one of the most logically packed boxes so far. Nicely machined aluminum parts for the CoreXY system here for sure. I was so keen on the Haribo, I needed to taste them. They were good and didn't last long. At this point, I started wondering, will this actually work? The manual almost scared me to death with that statement there. The build instructions come in several languages and in 8 chapters. It's a nice interactive online guide, but you can also download a PDF. You can leave comments directly in the guide. It tells you exactly what to prepare, and the detailed pictures guide you step by step. Light and space are crucial for the build, and don't forget to recycle the waste. I left all parts in the corresponding boxes, as the instructions tell you exactly where to find each part for the next steps. Not ideal? We'll talk later. I already know that leaving the fasteners in these white bags is not optimal, at least for me. I'll have a solution for that. Now, I won't bore you by repeating every single step of the build. The instructions are great overall. Instead, I'll focus on what I noticed in each chapter, share my mistakes, and give you some tips to make the build even more fun. You start with the base of the Core One. Not a huge challenge to complete, but it's your first taste of screwing into printed parts and dealing with those annoying white fastener bags I really dislike. You'll also get into assembling the sheet metal the first time. Clever design, quality parts, self-aligning. Unfortunately, the anti-vibration rubber feet didn't stick at all. I thought the sheet metal was greasy and clean it with isopropanol. No luck there. None of them stuck properly. VHB tape finally did the job. Anyway, that was quick, and we're advised to eat the first gummy bears. I had already tasted them and knew my build would fail anyway, so I just ate them all at once. The back assembly is quite a no-brainer as well, but it's your first time using the clever multi-tool and working on the electronics. So here are a few tips. Step 3.8. Use isopropanol or similar to clean the surfaces for the thermal pads. The manual doesn't really tell you how or what to use, just to do it. Step 3.9. Use tweezers or pliers to place the screws. Otherwise it's a pain and you might damage the board. Also, be super careful with the fan grid. It breaks easily. Mine cracked in one spot. You might not notice after assembly, but it's still a bit annoying.
Nein, Scheißendreck.
And oh boy, there's a lot of grounding. It's probably good, but I still wonder why it's necessary in that amount. One note for Prusa: an overview diagram for the grounding cable in all those steps would be really helpful. I had to jump back to step 1 several times there. The heat bed assembly is straightforward, but I have a few notes to make life a bit easier for you and for Prusa. First, I ditched the white screw bags and quickly made a 30-slot organizer for the fasteners. You can label it with multi-purpose stickers or add and print the text in your slicer. Works great for me, link in the description. Watch out for the M4R and M4RT screws. They look almost identical, but the treatment might differ. Don't mix them up, like I did. When attaching the LED strip, make sure to clean the surface. Maybe overkill, but I don't want it falling off later. Most importantly, be careful with the printed parts. I broke a PCCF bed carrier while inserting lock nuts. My fault, but still. You look like a deer in the headlights if this happens, especially without a spare printer. That nice build weekend, over.
Nein. Shit.
Finally, packaging madness in step 4.2.2. There's no Nextruder Assembly package as stated. The part you need is actually in box 9, electronics. Not a big deal, but worth mentioning, and maybe something Prusa could improve. The CoreXY build was an absolute highlight in terms of fun. The clever use of the multi-tool was great. There's plenty of space for belt routing and all the aluminium parts make a solid impression. However, there's a lot of screwing into printed parts, which made me worry about long-term durability. Also, there's no thread lock on the pulley grab screws. If you built a Voron before, you know thread lock is an absolute must here. Prusa does not. Whether that's justified or not, time will tell. Heads up, degrease your fingers and the sheet metal before attaching the LED strip. And after this chapter, definitely wash your hands before eating the gummy bears. I didn't have that problem anymore since the end of chapter 2, but I care for your health. At this point, the Core One finally starts to look like a real CoreXY printer, and it's very satisfying to build, so far. But we still need an extruder, and that's where the fun really kicks in. The Nextruder build was the pinnacle of the Core One build for me. Beautifully machined parts, super satisfying PCCF parts, and completely stress-free thanks to the spot-on instructions. Except for one tiny detail. The printed parts for the idler lever aren't in the electronic package as stated. They're actually in one of the printed parts bags. After attaching the tool head and finishing the wiring, it would be great to run a quick self-test to confirm everything works before closing it up. At this point, all functional parts are on the printer, except the LCD, which you could already attach. Once you close it up, troubleshooting gets tricky, and no matter how experienced you are, you never know. I actually mixed up the two Nextruder temperature sensors at first, but luckily caught it in time. The final chapters cover the frame, electronics and panels. After that, there is no easy way back without disassembly. The rest is pretty straightforward, but a heads up, leave enough cable for the side filament sensor, or you'll struggle to attach it on the side panel. Been there. Now the printer looks almost complete. Just the top cover, side panels and LCD left. Easy peasy. Using those rivets is satisfying, but I didn't attach the top cover and I recommend you don't either. In general, top access isn't really possible without destroying the rivets. You get plenty of spares, but it isn't practical. This also means you can't easily reach the extruder from the top if you run into filament loading issues. And trust me, they can happen, even on the best printers. Luckily, there are already some mods for a removable top cover. Alright, once the LCD is mounted, super easy thanks to the magnetic mount, the printer is officially complete. Okay, first power on and hell yeah, no smoke, it boots and all tests passed. An epic moment after 10 to 15 hours of building. The belt tuning app didn't work on my iPhone, so I tuned it by ear and feel. All my first PLA and PTG prints came out great. I tested most of the sample G-codes from the USB stick, plus some handy PTG parts like the nozzle tool and Stefan's HEPA charcoal filter. Overall, a great experience, and some issues were my own fault, like the broken heatbed part. Pro tip: have scissors, a small knife, isopropanol, paper towels and double-sided tape for the feed ready. The packaging can be a bit chaotic. Maybe unpack and pre-check everything first, that's my Voron strategy, and it might save you headaches constantly opening and switching boxes. Compared to a true open source do-it-yourself printer, this build is much easier and almost foolproof if you take your time. The CoreXY and Nextruder builds were actually more satisfying than building a Voron gantry or toolhead. More space, less stress. Self-aligning sheet metal frame? Way easier than squaring an aluminium extrusion variant as we know it from Vorons and others. Sure, Voron veterans might roll their eyes at the ultra-detailed instruction and endless mini-steps. And not even completely foolproof, as we've seen, but it's close. At around $1,000 the Core One isn't cheap, and the smaller XY build space is a downside for me. That's the i3 Batslinger heritage Prusa couldn't fully shake off. Though for me, as a veteran do-it-yourself builder, it was super enjoyable and worked perfectly right after the build, without endless calibration drama. After my rocky Prusa XL experience, and considering this kit is still new, I honestly expected the worst. But no, it surprised me in a really good way. Thanks for watching, subscribing and sharing. See you next time, servus and bye bye. Shout out to our gold supporters, Gatsby and Shulo.